To Russia's war on Ukraine now. Moscow says at least one person has been killed and several others injured in Ukrainian attacks on the Russian city and region of Belgorod. The strikes come after Ukraine's president Volodymyr Zelenskyy vowed Russia would pay for its latest missile attacks on Ukrainian cities. Those airstrikes hit the capital Kyiv and the eastern city of Kharkiv, killing at least 5 people and wounding nearly 100.
The aftermath of an attack on the Volodymyr district of Kyiv. Russian missiles caused extensive destruction to the neighborhood. And left residents struggling to come to terms with it. It was horrifying. There were bits of window frames and glass everywhere. People were crawling and crying. It was still dark, and we could see a fire burning somewhere outside.
I'm very scared, in shock, because I never thought this would happen to us. I've always been an optimist. And I can't find my cat either. Sorry.
The Ukrainian capital was the target of several Russian strikes, which mostly hit civilian areas. Russia also targeted the country's second-largest city, Kharkiv, injuring dozens and turning parts of residential neighborhoods into smoldering craters. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelenskyy condemned the attacks. He credited Western air defense systems for intercepting and destroying the vast majority of Russian missiles.
There were more strikes by the inhuman Russians with almost 100 rockets of various types. At least 70 rockets were shot down, almost 60 of them shot down in the Kyiv area. There were severe bombings in Kharkiv.
Zelenskyy is under mounting pressure to shore up military and financial support from Western allies to help Ukraine continue to defend itself against the Russian invasion.
And I can now welcome Marina Miron from the War Studies Department at King's College in London. Marina, good to see you again. Attacks in both Ukraine and the Russian region of Belgorod have intensified in recent days. Is this escalation likely to continue even further?
Good evening, Nicole. Well, the problem is that Russia claims that it's a response to Ukrainian attacks on Belgorod. First, we had an Ukrainian attack on Crimea, on the Novocherkassk warship. And so every single time Russia claims that it responds to Ukrainian attacks. That being said, if there are any more attacks on Belgorod, the Kursk region, or on Crimea proper, I think Russia will resort to the use of massive firepower. And obviously now it's also operating much more liberally with its fighter aircraft over the skies of Ukraine.
Moscow has signaled that it has the capacity for a long war, but a long war isn't necessarily a successful one, is it? So where does Russia's military capability stand right now?
Well, in terms of the long war, in economic terms, Russia is doing pretty well despite the sanctions. So unfortunately for Ukraine, the Russian defense industry is booming. Therefore, it's not to be expected that Russia will run out of ammunition anytime soon. That being said, what Russia will need is manpower. And so it will remain to be seen if Russia mobilizes after the elections. And for Ukraine, obviously, it will also mean whether Western support will arrive in time for Ukraine to hold out. So this is a contest of wills. The one side is a Russian will and the other side is a Western will, not the Ukrainian will.
Yeah, let's talk about support. Do you think these recent attacks will lead to the unblocking of military aid packages that are stalled in the U.S. Congress and the European Union?
Well, it could push the European Union and the United States to unblock the packages. The problem here is that the package currently under consideration by the European Union is much less than initially agreed upon. In the United States, it's said to be the last package for Ukraine. So even if Ukraine receives this aid, the question is, will it continue receiving the aid after that, and how long this aid will last Ukraine. In other words, Ukraine will also need ammunitions, Ukraine will need more weapons, and from what it looks like, the UK has decided to send air defense missiles to Ukraine, but it's not everything that Ukraine needs, and the question is, can the West support the exact needs for Ukraine in order to outlast Russia?
That was military analyst Marina. Miron, always a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
And I'm pleased to welcome now Kira Rudnik. She's a member of the Ukrainian parliament and leader of the opposition party Holos. She joins us from Kyiv. Kira, your apartment was in one of the buildings hit overnight. Tell us what happened.
Hello, Nicole. Thank you so much for having me. I woke up today at about 7 a.m. Because of the sound of air raid siren. This is not uncommon for us because there has been many attacks on Kyiv these days. I tried to go downstairs to where we usually hide under the stairs, but it was just like not quick enough, because then I heard the explosion, and then I have seen that there is smoke, and my windows, they were pulled out of the frames and shattered on the floor, and part of the wall is in rubble. And then I went out, and it was dark and smoke, and people were screaming, and but the attack did not stop at that moment. So you can imagine in this Armageddon, the missiles were coming and coming, and people were trying to seek if somebody needs help. But can you just imagine this? It's just terror in its purest way. And there were many people from my neighborhood that were actually severely injured. Thank God I just got a couple of scratches out of the shatters of the glass, and I was able to help my neighbors. But the truth is that right now in Ukraine, when you are going to bed, you do not have any guarantee that you will wake up in the morning. Not at all. And this is what's happening every single day. I think many people in the West think that the war is over, but it is not. It is going on every day, and we never know if we are going to survive another attack.
Yeah. Most of all, we're glad to see that you're safe. This sounds incredibly frightening. Just to give our viewers a sense, because this has been going on for almost 2 years now, but the attacks, especially in Kyiv, now seem to be coming closer and closer again. What is it like for you living in Kyiv at the moment?
Well, as of right now, I have no windows at the part of my home, and we will be putting some plastic wrap over them so we can go through the night. It all smells like smoke, and we didn't have water for some time in the morning, and we only ask each other if all your relatives are all right, and if everybody is alive, and people are telling we are good for now, for today, for this attack. Today there were so many people coming in, helping out with the glass. There was so many glass shatters everywhere, and the issue is Russia still has so many missiles, and they can send it our way. And the air defense system that we've got, they're doing a really good job, but apparently, you see, it is not enough. It's not 100% protection, not even 90%. And this is why we are calling to get more missiles for the air defense systems, the fighter jets. But the truth is that you feel incredibly helpless when you are standing there looking at part of your home being shattered at the glass. Oh, excuse me. My neighbors are trying to fix their part. And so you look at it and you don't know what you can do. And people right now are just preparing for the night to survive night by night. And it is incredibly scary. It is as far from normal as possible. And the question is, again, what can we do? What can we do? And as a politician, as a Ukrainian, I can work with my partners in the West to help for Ukraine to get more and more support.
I want to talk about those allies that I'm sure you've been in touch with over not only these past hours where you've been personally affected, but throughout the past weeks and months. How are your allies planning to respond to this intensified campaign by Russia, especially against urban areas?
Well, the first one is, of course, getting us more abilities to defend ourselves, to fight back, to make sure that we protect ourselves. And this is what we really, really need, more air defense systems and ammunition for that. But there is another angle that is critically important. Recently, our military has unpacked the missiles that were going our way and from Russia, and they had many Western parts there. So one of the ways to help us defend ourselves is to make sure that sanctions actually work, that Russia is not able to manufacture as many weapons and missiles as they do right now. And this is something that can be done and should be done. And this is what we will be working on even more intensively, because, again, I'm the living proof right now of what is happening here. And I can tell you, there is nothing more terrifying when you have absolutely no control over what is happening to you and your loved ones, and you feel complete despair when everything that you worked on, you built, you loved, is just going into rubble in 1 minute.
Ukrainian lawmaker Rudnik, thank you so much, and try to be safe. Thank you.